my God. No, wait, seriously. You have to give me, like, a second to catch my breath because I am still physically recovering from the sheer absurdity of what I just watched. Welcome back. Babes, it's Tuesday evening, so you know exactly what that means. Family chaos is officially on deck, and so is the wine. Cheers to you for being here with us.
Cheers, bestie. I mean, I literally poured my drink the second the episode ended.
I am telling you, I was sitting on my couch watching Trent this week, and I gripped my wine glass so hard my knuckles turned white. I genuinely thought I was going to throw my Pinot Grigio straight at the flat screen. It was a near miss. Like,
Yeah.
the television almost didn't survive the episode. I was just vibrating with rage and secondhand embarrassment.
It was a deeply triggering hour of television, honestly, and we have to unpack it with you tonight.
Yeah.
Because this episode, which, by the way, was perfectly titled The Rain is Giving Me the Ick, felt like an absolute fever dream. And I do not use that term lightly, you know?
No, totally a fever dream.
It was a masterclass in broadcasting your family's deepest grief, their most private moments, and most glaring dysfunctions to millions of people, only to realize the editors are like a year behind and the audience knows it's all completely staged. Today, we are tearing into the fracturing illusion of reality TV.
The illusion is completely shattered. That's
Team-
exactly what it was, because I was sitting there as the credits rolled, and I realized something so profound about the structure of this show. It felt like so much happened, right?
Oh, visually, yes, so much.
Right. Visually, we were bombarded. We had bad Halloween costumes. We had landscaping disputes. We had bizarre cold plunges. We had a literal Georgia monsoon flooding a wedding. So much visual stimulation. Yet, fundamentally, absolutely nothing moved the plot forward.
Zero forward momentum, none.
Mm.
It's like we are stuck in an emotional time loop in Forsyth, Georgia. We are watching them run on a treadmill covered in mud.
Yeah.
But before we even get into the wedding prep chaos, we have to talk about the elephant in the room.
Oh, we absolutely do.
The real thing you, me, and the entire Snark squad want explained. The mystery that is haunting the dark corners of my Reddit scrolling. What actually happened with Aunt Heidi?
Yes. Oh, my God. Thank you, babes. You cannot convince me there wasn't massive, earth-shattering family drama behind the scenes. You just cannot. The energy is so incredibly weird. You can literally feel the tension through the screen. I mean, it's palpable.
The silence is louder than the storyline at this point. It is deafening. And analytically speaking, this is what happens when the curated reality phenomenon just like collapses in real time.
Wait, explain that to me, the curated reality thing. Because something clearly went down. The vibes are entirely off. TLC keeps dancing around the issue, bringing it up without actually bringing it up. Show these weird little breadcrumbs. And I just need the Johnston family to spit it out. What is the secret?
Right, I know.
Like, who said what to who at what holiday dinner? Tell us.
Well, so the curated reality phenomenon happens when a family has been on reality television for so long that they stop living their lives and start producing their lives. They are hyper aware of the cameras, so they attempt to curate this pristine, unified image.
Oh, right, the perfect family brand.
Exactly. But the problem is, you cannot curate bad vibes. Humans are incredibly adept at reading microexpressions. We can sense contempt, resentment, and unspoken anger even when people are smiling and passing the mashed potatoes. Aunt Heidi is the perfect example. They're trying to suppress the truth for the sake of the family brand, but the audience feels the massive void where a healthy family dynamic should be.
It's so transparent.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because every single family, whether they're on TV or not, absolutely has hidden feuds and secret drama they try to suppress for the holidays.
Yeah.
There's always that one aunt where you have to be like, okay, nobody mention the inheritance or nobody bring up the timeshare in Florida.
100%. Every family has that.
Yeah.
But with the Johnstons, it's broadcast to the world. We are watching them actively pretend everything is normal when we know the family group chat is probably a radioactive wasteland.
It's the universal family experience, just magnified by TLC cameras, a massive production budget, and a paycheck. They are contractually obligated to smile through the resentment. But speaking of things that are dangerously good and distracting me from reality, we have a very important beverage update.
Oh, yes. Listen to me carefully, Snark Squad. The peach bellinis are back. And they're dangerously good.
Dangerously.
I made a fresh pitcher before we sat down to record using actual fresh peach puree, and I'm already feeling very opinionated. I am highly activated tonight.
They are phenomenal, and I desperately needed it because I had a complete existential crisis right before you got here.
Yeah.
I fell down the darkest, weirdest TikTok rabbit hole while prepping my notes.
I saw you spiraling on the couch. What exactly did you find?
A dog. But not just a dog. It was a video of a dog doing insanely human-like commands. I'm talking about a golden retriever bringing specific, complex objects from other rooms by name, spinning on command, climbing onto tables and sitting on a chair exactly like a human waiting for a meal.
Wait, really? Like a person?
Yes, but it wasn't just the actions, it was the eyes. It was reacting like a person. It had this unsettling, highly intelligent gaze, and I went into a complete psychological tailspin.
Babes, I genuinely cannot tell what's fake anymore. Half the time I'm scrolling and I see something, and my brain just breaks. I'm like, is this a filter? Is this CGI? Is this real life? I can't do it.
It's the uncanny valley effect. In robotics and 3D animation, the uncanny valley is that eerie, unsettling feeling you get when something looks and moves almost exactly like a human, but is just slightly off.
Oh, I hate that feeling so much.
Right. And that's what this video was. The fluid mechanics of the dog's joints were just a little too smooth. And it honestly made me realize that in 10 years, we're all going to be arguing with AI dogs online. Mark my words. We are going to be in the comment sections having heated political debates with a golden retriever avatar generated by a server farm in Nevada. Everything looks AI generated now. The internet is becoming terrifying.
I was looking over your shoulder at that video, and we were literally debating it for 10 minutes. We were analyzing the pixels around the dog's tail. We were looking at the lighting shadows on the floor. Was it real? Was it AI? Was it CGI? Or is it just someone with way too much free time who trained their poodle to act like a 40-year-old accountant? I have no idea.
I still lean towards AI. The movement lacked the natural micro-hesitations a living biological creature has. But it just shows you how our entire perception of reality is fracturing. We don't trust our own eyes anymore. And honestly, it's not that different from watching TLC.
Oh my gosh, that is so true.
Right. We are constantly questioning what is an authentic human moment and what is a scripted, producer-driven hallucination. Speaking of fractured realities and highly stressful environments, we need to tell everyone about our pre-show dinner.
Oh, my blood pressure is physically rising just thinking about it. Okay, so we went out to eat together to grab some tacos and margaritas before we came back to record. We just wanted a chill vibe to prep our notes, go over the Johnston family drama, and decompress. And the hostess sat us right next to what I can only describe as a chaotic child tornado.
It was an overwhelming amount of kinetic energy just everywhere.
A lot. It was screaming. It was physical food throwing. There was guacamole airborne. Babes, airborne. It was an iPad propped up at max volume playing some sort of hyper-stimulating neon-colored cartoon with zero headphones. And it sparked a massive debate between us right there at the table. Do badly behaved kids ruin restaurants for everyone? Because my stance, as someone who values peace, is a hard emotional yes.
And my stance, looking at the sociology of public spaces, is an analytical, slightly snarky, I don't really care no.
How can you not care? I am still annoyed. When I go out to dinner and I'm paying good money for a meal, a margarita, and an atmosphere, I want peaceful dinner vibes.
Yeah.
I am an adult who has worked all day dealing with adult problems, and I want a calm space to decompress. The sociologist Ray Oldenburg coined the term the third place, a place outside of home and work where adults can gather and relax. Restaurants are supposed to be third places. I will defend to the death adults wanting a child-free aesthetic in a nice restaurant. Take them to McDonald's.
See, I hear your emotional reaction, but I look at it from a completely different psychological angle. Kids are just kids. Biologically speaking, their prefrontal cortexes, the part of the brain responsible for impulse control and emotional regulation, are basically mush.
Mush. I'm eating near mush brains.
They're entirely undeveloped. They literally do not possess the neurological hardware to know any better. You know who does have a fully formed prefrontal cortex? The adults. I was heavily judging the adults at the table next to us who were aggressively sighing, crossing their arms, and making performative eye contact with the waiters.
Hey, I was doing that.
I know you were. And the adults complaining and exuding toxic, angry energy ruined the vibe way more than a toddler throwing a chip.
No. I completely disagree. The performative sighing is the only weapon we have left in the social contract. I need the parents to know that their little angel is currently dropping sour cream onto my open-toed shoes. It's about parental accountability.
Yeah.
I have a personal anecdotes to back my trauma up, okay? I once had a kid at a restaurant physically crawl under my booth and pop up next to my leg like a weird little prairie dog.
A prairie dog?
Yes, and the parents just smiled at me. They thought it was endearing. It is not endearing.
Which, objectively, is hilarious. The prairie dog imagery is incredible, but I just think we expect sterile environments everywhere we go now. It's a public space. Society includes children. If you want total uninterrupted peace, stay home and drink the peach bellinis. But honestly, watching you silently fume while a toddler screamed the lyrics to Baby Shark in D minor was the highlight of my week.
You are genuinely evil. You really are. But you know what else completely ruins my vibe and violates my social contract? The TLC production timeline?
Oh, absolutely. We need to transition right into this because it
Yeah.
is driving the entire fandom insane. It is the core reason the show feels so disjointed right now. TLC desperately needs to completely overhaul their production timelines.
It's actively insulting to the viewers at this point. Let's do a quick reality check. Liz and Breeze's wedding, the one we are just now seeing the rehearsal dinner for, literally happened forever ago in real life. The wedding was November 8th, 2025.
Yes, over 6 months ago.
And it gets worse, because Liz already announced on Instagram that she is pregnant with baby number 2 in March of 2026. So we, as the viewers, are sitting here in real time knowing she's already married and heavily pregnant with a second child. But on our screens, we are watching her complain about her wedding dress being too long and the golf carts getting stuck in the mud. It is a complete cognitive dissonance.
It shatters the entire illusion of reality TV. And if we look at the mechanics of television production, there is absolutely no excuse for it.
Yeah.
Compare TLC's legacy model to Bravo's turnaround time.
Oh, Bravo would never.
Never. When a massive scandal or a wedding happens in the Real Housewives universe, the Bravo editors use what's called rolling edits. They have teams working in parallel, they have those cameras up, the footage cut, and it's on our screens while the gossip is still hot on Twitter.
Yes.
Sometimes they turn an episode around in a matter of weeks. TLC feels a full calendar year behind the culture. Babes, Bravo editors would rather die than allow this kind of narrative delay.
They would literally perish. If this was Vanderpump Rules, they would have paused the season, edited the wedding in a week, and given us a real-time special event. We need Andy Cohen to consult for TLC immediately. Call a summit, fix the pipeline, hire more editors. Because I cannot pretend to be in suspense about whether it's going to rain on their wedding day when I have literally already seen the Instagram photos of the dry, beautiful ceremony from last November.
Exactly. It's narrative whiplash. You can't build tension when the audience already holds the spoiler in the palm of their hand via a social media app. But since we are avid fans and we live for the absolute mess of it all, we are still dying to dive into what actually happened on screen.
Oh, we absolutely are.
We have so much shade to throw, so many Reddit theories to validate, and so much of our own personal trauma to project onto Amber and Trent.
Oh, the projection is going to be incredibly heavy tonight. Grab your drinks, Snark Squad, because it is time for the messy recap. We are going deep. Let's start with part 1, Grief, Gardening, and Amber's Reign of Terror.
A perfect poetic title. So the context for this part of the episode is actually very heavy, and we should acknowledge that. We are dealing with the passing of Nana, Trent's mom, after she spent months in hospice care.
Yeah, that was really sad.
It's a devastating family loss, and it's happening right before this massive wedding. The emotional baseline of the house is already fractured.
Right. And grief is strange. People handle it differently. And I truly want to be empathetic to Trent losing his mother. But the way this family processes emotion is just, it's a lot to witness. Instead of letting Trent grieve naturally or maybe just take a minute to breathe and process his new reality, Amber forces him into intense manual labor.
Specifically, she decides they absolutely must plant 5 massive hydrangea bushes at the house to represent the 5 grandkids. And this has to happen right before the wedding, 10 days out.
The timing, it's so chaotic.
Yeah.
But let's look at the actual mechanics of what happens in the yard. Trent is out there in the dirt, sweating, grieving, and he claims he knows how to plant bushes. He literally says, I know how bushes are planted the Trent Johnston way. I've been doing it for a very long time.
Right, he's very proud of his methods.
But Amber cannot let it go.
Yeah.
She physically cannot allow him to just do the task. She's out there micromanaging the root balls. She's telling him exactly what depths to dig, telling him to use the shovel blade to pack the dirt in.
Yes, she's pacing around saying, root ball needs to be about this high above the ground. It's a constant, suffocating barrage of instruction. And hydrangeas are actually very finicky plants. They require specific soil pH and depth, but that's not why Amber's doing this.
Okay, this is where I have to bring in some personal banter because I trauma bonded so hard with this scene. I have a narcissist mom. I lived this. And watching Amber in this moment was so incredibly triggering.
I was waiting for you to say this because I know your history.
It is so real. Because when you have a parent or a partner with narcissistic tendencies, they have this compulsion to make everything, even someone else's profound grease, about their own control and their need for aesthetic perfection. My mom once turned a family funeral into a screaming match about the font on the program.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not kidding. And Trent is actively hurting, and Amber is using it as an opportunity to be the supreme director of a landscaping project. It made me sick.
It's textbook. If we analytically break down this behavior, we're watching Amber utilize physical labor as a dominance display. In psychology, there is a concept called covert control. She masks her control issues as helpfulness or a noble desire to honor Nana, but really it's about establishing hierarchy. She needs to make sure Trent knows she is the one running the site.
Wow, covert control. That makes so much
You're
sense.
right. She cannot tolerate a space where she isn't the absolute authority. She literally says to the camera, Trent cannot help himself, but have to tell me how to do it. That is a massive psychological projection. She was the one dictating the exact fertilizer ratio while he was holding the shovel.
Exactly.
Right.
It's maddening to watch. And Trent is so beaten down by years of this dynamic that he just takes it. He just mutters and digs, all while wearing a giant sweatsuit.
Which brings us perfectly to the part 2 of this chaotic episode, the Halloween broccoli meltdown and Trent's bait suit. Oh, the bait suit. So we are 10 days out from the wedding. Trent is wearing this heavy, gray, Space Odyssey-looking sweatsuit, which he bizarrely calls a bait suit, while doing yard work in the Georgia humidity because he claims he needs to sweat off 10 to 15 pounds.
Babes, his tuxedo is going to pop buttons like the Incredible Hulk. He admitted on camera that he woke up weighing 142 pounds, and his goal is to get into the 130s in 10 days.
Which gives us a great opportunity to talk about the actual science of weight loss because Trent's methodology is wildly unhealthy and completely medically unsound.
Oh, totally.
Wearing a foil suit to sweat out 10 pounds is not metabolizing lipids. It is strictly expelling water weight through extreme dehydration. You are not losing fat. You are just shrinking your cells of necessary hydration. The moment he drinks a glass of water or eats a carbohydrate, the cellular hydration returns and the tux is going to be skin tight again. It is a terrible strategy for fitting into tailored clothing.
The alterations timeline was completely botched. If you know your suit is that tight, you go to a tailor. You don't wrap yourself in plastic wrap like a leftover casserole. But the absolute best part of his starvation and dehydration plan is that it coincides perfectly with Halloween.
Oh no.
And the family, in all their wisdom, decides to dress as fruits and veggies for a local fall festival.
Because nothing screams fall festival like a group of adults in giant inflatable produce costumes looking utterly miserable.
It was amazing television. Leighton was an adorable little strawberry. Jonah was an eggplant.
Which is just poetic cinema, as someone on the Reddit threads brilliantly pointed out, and I have to agree with this analysis. Jonah as an eggplant makes perfect sense because he can be a total dick sometimes.
I am screaming. That is so accurate. He really can be. But Trent, poor, hangry, dehydrated Trent, is forced to be a broccoli.
The visual of this man is burned into my retinas. He is completely miserable. He is starving. His blood sugar is probably hovering near zero. And he is encased in this giant, cumbersome, bright green broccoli costume where the armholes are all the way down by his knees. It physically restricts his movement.
He literally couldn't see. The costume was so poorly designed for his proportions that he was completely blind in it. Bryce is trying to physically guide him, helping him walk across the grass, and Trent is just aggressively snapping at him. No, stop. Let go of me.
Poor Bryce.
Bryce is like, I'm trying to help you. It was pure, unfiltered physical comedy. I was dying laughing at the visual of an angry, starving broccoli threatening to fall over and break a spear.
He was a very hostile vegetable, and you could tell the wedding stress was just compounding everything. He wasn't eating what he wanted, his patience was completely gone, and his naturally ornery side was jumping out. But if we thought the blind broccoli suit was bad, we were not emotionally prepared for what followed. We need to talk about part 3, the Quagmire era and the cold plunge of ick.
Massive trigger warning for everyone listening. This was the most uncomfortable, viscerally disturbing segment of reality television I have consumed in recent memory. So, Trent's absolute desperation to shrink his body fat leads him to buy and use a 38-degree cold plunge tub.
Again, we need to start the science here. Cold plunges do cause vasoconstriction and can activate brown adipose tissue, which burns calories to generate heat. But you do not drop 10 pounds of stubborn belly fat in a week by sitting in an ice bucket for 3 minutes a day. But sure, let's watch Trent freeze himself.
He gets into this icy tub in the backyard, and he immediately starts making the grossest, most inappropriate comments. He starts talking about things drawing up. He talks explicitly about his, quote, junk. He is just broadcasting this information to his wife, his children, and the entire camera crew. Even Emma, his teenage daughter, literally says on camera with pure disgust in her eyes, I don't want to see Dad's junk.
It's completely boundaryless. It is a total violation of normal family propriety, and this isn't an isolated incident. I spent hours reading the Reddit live discussion threads for this episode, and the viewers are officially revolting. They have had enough. The fandom is now universally calling Trent the quagmire of the TLC world.
That is so accurate, it physically hurts me. For anyone who doesn't watch Family Guy, Quagmire is the hypersexual, constantly inappropriate, deeply creepy neighbor.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what Trent has become this season. The Reddit threads were lighting him up.
The audience is exhausted by his constant sexual innuendos. It's relentless. In this same episode, while they're landscaping, he makes a highly suggestive joke about Amber trimming bushes.
Ugh, gross.
In previous episodes, he spent an entire segment talking about soundproofing their master bedroom so the kids don't hear them banging. He uses that exact word on a family television show.
It makes me emotionally disgusted. It is so cringe. I feel so incredibly bad for the kids who had to go to school and have their peers watch their dad talk like this. It is super embarrassing. I am begging TLC producers to stop airing it. Why do they think the audience wants to hear a 50-year-old man in a cold plunge talk about his testicles shrinking? Nobody wants this.
Let's analytically diagnose this, because there's deep psychology at play here. When a couple, especially a couple that has been married for 33 years, constantly performs their sex life for an audience, it is almost always an extreme form of overcompensation.
Oh, without a doubt.
It's highly performative. Think about the couples you know in real life, people who are genuinely secure, deeply connected, and intimate behind closed doors, do not feel the need to constantly make trimming the bush jokes to their children or a camera crew. They don't need to loudly broadcast their libido. It feels like a defensive mask to hide a fundamental lack of genuine affection. If you carefully watch Trent and Amber interact when they aren't making these jokes, their dynamic is incredibly transactional.
Transactional is the perfect word.
It's all about schedules, enforcing rules, building things, maintaining the property, bossing the kids around. It's emotionally cold. So Trent inserts these jarring, inappropriate sexual jokes as a subconscious way to prove to the audience, see, we have passion, we are fun, we are a hot couple. But because it lacks authenticity, it just comes off as a desperate, uncomfortable quagmire routine.
It's so uncomfortable because the kids are right there.
Yeah.
It's a form of emotional pollution in that house. When Emma says she doesn't want to see it, you can tell this is a constant barrage she deals with daily.
Yeah.
I just want peaceful vibes, and Trent is giving me the absolute ick. But speaking of things that give me the ick, let's move to part 4. The dress disaster and fake bridal showers.
Right, so let's shift focus to the bride. Liz finally tries on her wedding dress just 7 days out from the actual ceremony.
7 days. Who in the history of wedding planning waits until 7 days before the event to check the final alterations on a custom gown? That is unhinged behavior.
Well, she claimed she was holding her breath because they hadn't heard from the seamstress. She finally gets the dress, puts it on, and it is a total disaster. It is way too tight in the bodice, and it is way too long at the hem. The seamstress explicitly told them she couldn't shorten it anymore without ruining the intricate lace design at the bottom. So Liz confidently announces she just needs to buy massive platform shoes so the dress doesn't drag in the mud.
Okay, we need to have a serious fashion and logistics conversation about the dress choice. Because the shade on Reddit was incredibly real, and I completely agree with the aesthetic critique. The dress is fundamentally the wrong silhouette for her body shape.
It's a very tight bodice, very form-fitting mermaid-style cut all the way down through the hips.
Yes, and as several fashion-savvy commenters pointed out, a flowing skirt would have balanced her proportions out so much better. Being a person with achondroplasia, a tight, restrictive dress just compresses everything vertically. A full, flowing A-line gown would have created a beautiful shape and been stunning on her.
Absolutely, it would have been so flattering.
But she insisted on this super restrictive, heavy, form-fitting gown that she now has to wear 6-inch platforms to walk in on grass. It makes no sense.
It's a logistical nightmare. Walking on soft Georgia clay and 6-inch platforms is a recipe for a broken ankle. But the dress isn't the only thing feeling a little off in the wedding trip. The Reddit sleuths have been looking very closely at Liz's bridal showers, and things are not adding up.
Oh, the tea is piping hot here. Walk everyone through the shower theory.
There is a massive, highly credible theory circulating that her bridal showers were incredibly depressing, extremely low attended, and totally staged by TLC production just to have a storyline for the episode.
I buy this entirely. Because if you looked at the footage with a critical eye, none of the people sitting at those tables seemed happy. It was so incredibly awkward. The energy was dead.
Completely dead.
Usually your extended family or the groom's family throws the shower, but Amber seems to completely isolate them from anyone outside her immediate control. And the biggest red flag, where was Bryce's mom?
Exactly. Bryce's mother wasn't there. That is highly unusual for a Southern wedding. And even weirder, her supposed best friends who traveled from out of town for the shower didn't even know she had set a wedding date. They literally said on camera they didn't know the wedding was happening in 3 months. How do your best friends not know your wedding date unless the whole timeline is a fabricated TV construct?
It felt so incredibly forced. It felt like production said, we need a bridal shower scene to fill an 8-minute block. Get whoever has signed a TLC release form to sit at this table, give them a muffin, and roll cameras. And this entire performative shower brings up the bigger issue with Liz, the chronic lies and the resume padding.
Yes, the resume padding has become a major sticking point for the audience.
Reddit is rightfully tearing her apart for this. Liz constantly tells people on the show that she is a nurse. She leans into this identity hard. She wears the scrubs. She talks about the medical field. But the reality T, confirmed by public records, is that she actually just took a 6-week CNA class.
Right, which is a big difference.
A huge difference. A certified nursing assistant is a wonderful, important, backbreaking job that deserves massive respect, but it's fundamentally, legally, and educationally not a registered nurse. Why lie?
It all traces back to the Amber influence. We talked about narcissism earlier. Amber pushes this intense image of exceptionalism onto her children. Her kids can't just be doing okay. They have to be the absolute best, the most successful, the highest achieving in the room. So in this family dynamic, a 6-week CNA certificate gets verbally morphed into I am a nurse for the cameras because it sounds more prestigious. It's pure image control.
Which perfectly segues into part 5, the hot mic and the scripted vows. Because the control issues in this relationship are truly terrifying to watch play out.
This is undoubtedly the biggest reveal of the episode, and the crazy part is it wasn't even the main storyline. It was caught entirely in the background. So let's set the scene. It's the rehearsal dinner. They're also celebrating Trent and Amber's 33rd anniversary at the dinner because, of course, Amber cannot let anyone else have the spotlight for a single evening. Bryce stands up to give a speech.
And honestly, he did a good job. He made eye contact. He thanked the family. He thanked Amber and Trent specifically. It seemed really sweet and genuine.
It did seem genuine, until the Reddit live chats caught something absolutely insane. During the practice run before the speech, Bryce was caught on a hot mic practicing his actual wedding vows. And the camera caught exactly what he was reading from. He was reading his vows directly from a text message that Liz had sent him.
I lost my actual mind when I saw this. My jaw unhinged. She literally wrote the emotional script for her own fiancé.
She authored his deepest emotions for him. She put the words in his mouth.
It is the ultimate control freak move. Who in their right mind writes their partner's vows and texts them to him to memorize like he's an actor in a high school play?
Yeah.
How do you stand at the altar in your heavy mermaid dress and cry at the beautiful words your husband is saying when you are the one who typed them into iMessage 3 days ago?
Analytically, it demonstrates a profound foundational lack of trust. Liz clearly does not trust Bryce to deliver the correct television moment. She needed the vows to sound a certain curated way for the TLC episode, so instead of trusting her partner's authentic voice, she just bypassed his autonomy entirely and wrote them herself. It makes you really debate Bryce's future in this dynamic. He isn't a partner, he is just along for the ride.
He is completely passive. He has no agency in this relationship, and we see her doing this with their life plans too. She is moving the goalposts right in front of him on camera. They were sitting around talking to friends, and Liz casually starts talking about wanting 3 kids in the future.
And Bryce immediately looks like a deer in headlights. He clearly, definitively does not want 3 kids. He explicitly says, I wouldn't say probably 3, that kind of pushed it. He wants 2 max.
But Liz just smiles that terrifyingly calm smile and steamrolls him in front of everyone. Well, we're doing 3. It's like, why is he even in the conversation? He's just a prop in her Pinterest board life. I feel incredibly bad for him, but I also want to shake him by his shoulders and tell him to wake up before it's too late.
He's going to wake up in 10 years with 3 kids, living right next door to Trent, wearing a matching fruit costume for Halloween, deeply wondering how he got there. But let's move away from the emotional disasters and look at part 6, the actual physical climax of the episode. Building the arches and the storm of the century.
This was where the chaotic energy of the week completely peaked. So Trent and Bryce are tasked with building these massive custom wooden wedding arches for the ceremony.
A ceremony that, mind you, is entirely outdoors, in a backyard at the very bottom of a steep hill.
A crucial logistical detail. So they're in the garage cutting the wood, and Trent, the Supreme Landscaping Commander, completely messes up the basic carpentry angles. He needs to cut 25 and 40-degree angles to make the arch fit together, but he confidently cut 65-degree angles. And instead of just owning it, he tries to blame the instruction manual for not having overall dimensions before finally painfully admitting it was carpenter error.
The absolute refusal to just say I messed up initially is so fundamentally Trent. His ego cannot handle a miscut piece of pine. But they eventually get the arches built, they stain them, they set up the massive white tent, the dance floor, they even lay down 2 whole pallets of fresh sod to make the grass look absolutely perfect for the drone shots.
And then the Georgia sky opens up.
A massive thunderstorm hits. We are talking torrential, heavy rain, lightning, the works. Trent even tried the old Southern Farmer's Almanac trick of burying a full bourbon bottle upside down at the site to prevent rain, and the universe completely laughed in his face. It failed them spectacularly.
Trent and Amber's meticulously landscaped, highly controlled backyard instantly turns into what Liz incredibly accurately called muddy hell. It's completely saturated. The guests are at the rehearsal dinner. The rain is coming down in sheets and they need to leave. But the rain has made the grass hills too slick for the normal golf carts.
The tires on the golf carts are literally spinning out in the thick mud. They can't get any traction up the hill, so they have to bust out the mule, which is their heavy-duty utility vehicle, to shuttle the elderly guests.
Which leads to the ultimate disaster. Truly, the funniest, most unscripted moment of the entire season. Bryce is trying to be helpful in the pouring rain. He decides to fold back the canvas roof of the golf cart because the back seat isn't covered, and he wants to make room. But it had been raining heavily for an hour and a half.
The canvas roof was essentially a suspended pool of standing water.
Yes, and as Bryce yanks it back, he accidentally dumps a full, solid gallon of freezing rainwater straight down Daddy B's back, his own grandfather.
Straight down his neck, soaking his shirt right into his britches.
I felt so bad for the poor man, but my reaction was pure chaotic laughter. I had to rewind it 3 times. The visual of poor, sweet Daddy B getting totally drenched by the groom the night before the wedding is peak reality TV comedy. You could not hire writers to script a moment that perfect.
It was incredible. Trent is standing there devastated, saying all their hard work and money was ruined in 2 hours. But honestly, let's look at the logic. What did they realistically expect? It's a completely outdoor wedding in the American South in November. The weather is wildly unpredictable. Have a backup plan.
Exactly. A family of intense know-it-alls, and absolutely nobody thought to put a deposit down on a backup indoor venue. It's incredible hubris. But amidst all this mud, the ruined grass, and the chaotic vows, there is one glaring omission that we have to cover, and it's the darkest part of the show. Part 7. The Anna erasure.
This is the darkest, most unsettling undercurrent of the entire season. Anna is entirely absent from the wedding prep. She is not at the rehearsal dinner. She is not in the yard helping build arches. She's virtually erased from the family narrative.
And the tea from Reddit and social media is explosive. Because Amber is straight up gaslighting the viewing audience.
Yeah.
Let's look at the timeline. Early in the season, Amber sat in her confessional chair and told the cameras explicitly that they aren't inviting Anna to certain family events. They made a whole calculated point of icing her out and isolating her.
Right. She established the boundary on camera, but then later, when it suits her victim narrative, Amber looks at the camera during a family gathering and says, "Why didn't you come? You could have come." She completely flips the script to manipulate the audience into thinking Anna is the negligent, distant daughter who simply refuses to participate in family joy.
It makes me physically furious. I will defend Anna fiercely on this podcast until the day I die, because the reality of the situation is completely different. Anna went on an Instagram Live recently and spoke her truth. She admitted that doing the show was actively ruining her mental health. The family dynamic, the constant criticism from Amber, the scapegoating, it was toxic for her well-being.
And we really need to explain the financial aspect of this because it is shocking and explains so much about reality television. Anna revealed she doesn't even get paid by TLC. Only Trent and Amber get the massive paycheck for the show.
Explain how that is even legal. Because people assume reality TV kids are rich. Like, they see them on TV and assume they have a trust fund.
Right. People assume reality TV is governed by the same rules as child acting, but it isn't. In Hollywood, there is something called the Coogan Law. It was established in the 1930s after the child star Jackie Coogan's parents squandered all his earnings. The Coogan Law mandates that a portion of a child actor's gross earnings must be placed in a blocked trust account.
Okay, that makes sense.
But here is the massive loophole. Reality television is often legally classified as a documentary rather than a performance. Because of this, in many states, including Georgia, the Coogan Law does not apply to reality TV families. The network writes one massive check to the parents' LLC. It is entirely up to the parents, Trent and Amber, to distribute that wealth to their children. And according to Anna, they don't.
Can you imagine the psychological toll of that? Your parents are getting incredibly wealthy off broadcasting your family drama, your awkward teen years, and your personal struggles. They are publicly ostracizing you on international television, controlling the narrative to make you look like the bad guy, and you aren't seeing a single dime of the profits. It is a form of financial abuse. Good for her for walking away. She is out there thriving. She is beautiful. She has a great career. She bought her own house all by herself.
It really highlights Amber's deep-seated jealousy. As one incredibly perceptive Reddit commenter noted, Anna is everything Amber desperately wants to be. Anna is naturally pretty, she has an infectious, easygoing personality, and most importantly, she is fiercely independent. Amber weaponizes these massive family events like the wedding, the holidays, the vacations to punish her kids financially and emotionally if they don't fall in line with her dictatorial rules.
It's gross. It's just toxic. I just want Anna to get a massive TLC spinoff where she just lives her best life, dates, decorates her house, and stays far, far away from the toxicity of Blackberry Court.
Absolutely. Okay, I think we need to take a breath, take a deep sip of your peach Fellini. We have heavily unpacked the trauma of this episode, but now we need to look closer at the interpersonal dynamics. It is time for our segments.
Yes. Let's get into it. Segment 1. Family Group Chat from Hell. Because you know, the text threads this week were absolutely radioactive.
I want you to truly imagine what the Johnston family group chat looks like during this specific wedding week, specifically when the rain starts pouring down and the arches are built wrong. I'll start. Because we know the psychology of passive-aggressive texting. Amber is definitely sending rigid, military-style schedule updates.
Oh, 100%. Go.
Okay, here's Amber's text. Good morning, everyone. Just a reminder that mandatory manual labor begins at 0600 hours sharp. Trent, please ensure the root balls are exactly 2.5 inches above ground level, not 2.4. Liz, please review the vows I drafted for Bryce so you can text them to him. Failure to comply with the aesthetic vision will result in being uninvited to the muffin breakfast and iced out of the family for 6 months.
Spot on. And Trent is totally ignoring the logistical crisis of the mud. He is sitting in the garage, avoiding his wife, and just sending entirely inappropriate boomer memes. He's dropping those terrible yellow minion memes with horrible sexual innuendos about getting wet in the storm, and absolutely nobody is responding. Just crickets.
Complete deafening silence. Meanwhile, Liz is sending 14-paragraph, highly detailed demands. Attention all bridesmaids. The ground is soft. I require a path of dry rose petals to absorb the moisture. Also, my platform shoes require a wider gait. Please adjust your walking speed to accommodate my 6-inch lift. Do not walk faster than me.
And Ella, we love Anna. Anna is in the chat. Her reader seats are firmly turned on so everyone knows she sees it. She is reading every single unhinged message, and she is never, ever replying. She's just leaving them on read while she drinks an iced coffee in her peaceful, quiet, drama-free house.
An absolute icon. Which leads us perfectly into segment 2, Sour Johnstons, looking ahead to the future of the franchise.
The season is almost done. And honestly, looking at the massive timeline gap we discussed earlier, we have to ask the hard question, do they even deserve a season 18? What authentic drama could they possibly get up to next season?
Well, from a pure production and economic standpoint, season 18 will have to cover the massive timeline gap. They have to cover Liz's second pregnancy. But from a narrative standpoint, they are running out of steam. Will TLC try to force a fake, highly produced reconciliation with Anna just for the ratings bump?
I will riot if they do. I will throw my TV out the window.
Thanks.
I argue they do not deserve another season unless they finally break the fourth wall and admit the real drama. Stop giving us staged fall festivals where grown men wear broccoli costumes. Give us the real fight. Sit on the couch and tell us exactly what happened with Ann Heidi. Tell us the financial truth about why Anna was really pushed out. If they keep giving us this sanitized, fake Instagram filter version of their lives, I'm out. I cannot watch another fake bridal shower.
I think you're expecting way too much truth from a network like TLC. I predict season 18 will just be more of the exact same formula. Staged parties, Trent in weird outfits complaining about his weight, Amber trying to micromanage Liz's second baby shower, and Liz pretending she is the chief of surgery at a hospital. They will never address the deep familial fractures because that requires genuine self-awareness, which threatens their entire economic model.
You're probably right. Let's play a game to lighten the mood. Segment 3, AI or real?
Okay, I absolutely love this game. It proves my point about the uncanny valley of reality TV. I am going to read you a prompt that sounds completely insane. You have to guess if it's a weird AI-generated prompt I made up using ChatGPT or an actual Johnston storyline from reality TV.
Ready?
Born ready.
Hit me with the weirdness.
Prompt number 1. Reality TV family cuts off their adopted daughter out of jealousy and financial control, but pretends on camera she just casually didn't show up to their events.
Real. Unfortunately, that is 100% real. That is the tragedy of the Anna situation in a nutshell.
Correct. Okay, prompt number 2. Groom reads his deeply emotional, tear-jerking wedding vows directly from a text message sent by his controlling bride.
Again, depressingly real. The hot mic incident of 2026. I still cannot believe she typed his deepest feelings for him. Right again.
Okay, last one. Let's see if you get this. Prompt number 3. Father of the bride locks himself in a freezer to shrink his testicles so he can fit into a tuxedo.
Okay, wait. It wasn't a freezer, it was a cold plunge. But the shrinking part. The totally inappropriate oversharing about his anatomy. Sadly real. The quagmire era is upon us. Real.
3 for 3. The fact that all of those sound like unhinged AI hallucinations but are actual broadcasted plot points shows you how far off the rails the show has gone. Reality has truly eclipsed fiction. It brings us to our final segment of the evening, segment 4, Next Wedding.
Oh, the ultimate debate. Which Johnston couple is next down the aisle? Is it going to be Alex and Allie or Jonah and Ashley?
Well, if I analyze the background reactions this episode correctly, there are clues. When they were all sitting around talking about future weddings, Liz was visibly rolling her eyes at the idea of Jonah ever getting married.
She looked like the concept was physically painful to her. And honestly, how is Ashley even still with Jonah? Let's be real. He is so unmotivated. He still lives in that weird limbo state under his parents' thumb, and Amber constantly undermines their relationship at every turn. Ashley deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for patience, but I do not see a ring in her near future.
So you're betting all your chips on the younger generation.
Absolutely. I think Alex and Allie will beat them to the altar purely to secure a TLC spinoff check. Alex is the golden child. He can do no wrong in Amber's eyes. Amber would absolutely love to plan another massive wedding where she gets to dictate the napkin colors, choose the font on the invitations, and make Trent plant more bushes in the rain. Alex and Allie are definitely next, and Amber will be the unofficially appointed wedding planner.
I can see the TLC special title card now. Alex's big day, Amber's ultimate control. It literally writes itself.
It really does. Wow. What an exhausting, muddy, psychologically dense, chaotic episode.
Truly a masterpiece of nothing happening very loudly.
Exactly. Well, Snark Squad, that is all the mess we can handle for one Tuesday evening. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, trauma bonding over narcissist moms, exploring the dark underbelly of reality TV contracts, and drinking peach bellinis with us.
It's been a deeply therapeutic session, as always. But before you go, please remember to like the episode, subscribe to the show, and share this with a messy friend who loves reality TV as much as we do.
And please jump into the comments. We need your theories on what really happened with Aunt Heidi. Drop your wildest, most unhinged speculations below.
I will be reading every single one of them. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over. If Liz is out here confidently telling everyone she's a full-fledged nurse with just a 6-week CNA class under her belt, what else on her resume, or more importantly in her relationship, is completely exaggerated for the cameras?
Ooh, chillin'. Stay chaotic, stay nosy, and we will see you on the Snark side.